Here now with more is the incoming Trump Border Czar himself, Tom Homan. Tom, welcome to the show. Would you please comment on the specific granular plan that Sarah Carter has reported on, how in fact you're going to use trains, planes, and automobiles to repatriate these illegal migrants back to their home countries?
On Friday's broadcast of the Fox News channel's Hannity, incoming Border Czar Tom Homan stated that he is going to contract as much work around immigration that doesn't require law enforcement officials as he can. And that way, if these sanctuary states and cities keep pushing back, I'll have the extra resources to double manpower in those sanctuary cities. Homan said, Nate plan is, and I've been very vocal about this, we're going to contract as much work out as we can, work that doesn't require a badge and a gun, because I need badges and guns on the street to do the deportation operation. So when it comes to driving a bus, transportation, whether it's ground or air, whether it's processing, whether it's other administrative duties, contract that work out. Because right now, we've got badges and guns doing that work. Get them out of that administrative work, put more on the street, and that's what we're going to do. And if these sanctuary states and cities keep pushing back, I'll have the extra resources to double manpower in those sanctuary cities. Because if we can't arrest the bad guy in the jail with one agent, it means I've got to send a whole team out into the field to find this person. And for officer safety reasons, we need a whole team rather than just one person.
Some other administrative duties, contract that work out. Because right now we got badges and guns doing that work. Get them out of that administrative work, put more on the street, and that's what we're going to do. And if these sanctuary states and cities keep pushing back, I'll have the extra resources to double manpower in those sanctuary cities. Because if we can't arrest a bad guy in the jail with one agent, it means I got to send a whole team out in the field to find this person. And for officer safety reasons, we need a whole team rather than just one person. So this is the plan we're putting together, and Governor Abbott's come to the table. He's the first one to come to the table, and I accepted it and shook his hand and said, let's go, let's move forward, let's do it.
Tom, I know that you often talk passionately about the humanitarian crisis that is our border crisis. You have some of these Democrats don't seem to care when babies are drowning in the Rio Grande, don't say a word about it, including our border czar, Kamala Harris, most days. We don't hear them talk about the 10-year-old boy being abandoned by the smugglers, the 2-year-old girl left by herself, 2 years old, Tom Homan. And yet I feel like they're waiting for their photo op, and they will resist the efforts that you and President Trump are trying to put forward and make sure that they're showing the big bad evil guys are separating families and people are crying they're being deported. Bring us forward a little bit. What will this look like? Will it be orderly? Will it be humane? How are you guaranteeing that? Because you're already getting so much resistance from the same mayors and local officials who know this has been draining their resources, know how angry their residents are about illegals coming there getting cash and debit cards and cell phones and clothing and hotel rooms in a place here like New York City, let alone a New York City school child's desk in a classroom. Tom, how will you do it in a way that people know you adhere to the law, this is enforcing the law, it is humane, it is fair, and it is just and legal?
Well, look, open borders are not humane. The only thing on that border right now that is humane are the men and women wearing that green uniform. They save thousands of lives every year. I've seen these men and women give CPR to babies that were thrown into the river by the cartel, because when they're chasing the boat of a smuggling load, so what the cartel members do, throw the baby in the water, then the Border Patrol have to jump in the water and save that baby rather than arresting the smuggler. Look, I've held dying children, I've held dead children. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 that were raped multiple times by criminal cartels. The border, open borders, cause death. They cause a rise in sexual assault of females and children. Under this administration, open border, sex trafficking is up over 600%. The number of people off the terrorist watch list is at a historic high. The amount of fentanyl coming across the open border have killed over 250,000 Americans. And that's just what open borders does. When President Trump had the most secure border of my lifetime, illegal immigration down 90%. When 90% less people were coming, how many babies weren't dying? How many women weren't being sexually assaulted? How many known suspected terrorists didn't make in the country? How many pounds of fentanyl didn't get in the country, kill Americans? Secure borders saves lives. But and that's where the humanitarian piece comes into place. Under Joe Biden, historic number of aliens have died crossing that border, 4,000. 250,000 Americans have died. the open border policies are killing aliens at record numbers, killing Americans at record numbers, and we're going to put a stop to it. And we're going to secure the border. As far as sanctuary cities, I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor wants to push back on ICE, because the president's been very clear. Right out of the gate, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. What elected official wants to tell his constituency, I'm okay with public safety threats in my community. I don't want ICE's help to remove these public safety threats. That's their number one responsibility, is the safety and security of the public of their communities. If they don't want to do it, ICE is going to do it. And with all the death threats and all the negative press right now, they can keep screaming all they want. ICE is going to do this job. I'm going to do this job. We're going to make these communities safer, and we're going to enforce the law. And if they don't want to help, instead decide don't help, fine, don't help. But don't get in our way. And I've said this for the past week over and over again. Do not harbor and conceal an illegal alien, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from us, because it's a crime. Don't impede us, because it's a crime. Don't obstruct, because it's a crime. If you want to sit aside and let us do your job of securing the communities, fine, we'll do that. But don't cross that line.
Tom Homan, you were a great colleague of mine and ours in the first Trump term, and you were one of the first appointees that he named, because he takes very seriously the need to do everything that you're describing. And Tom, when I interviewed you for my Here's the Deal show on Fox Nation, you made very clear that Biden and Harris really were the first administration in a long time who didn't make moves to secure the border. In just the remaining seconds we have, can you tell the audience why that would be? What commander-in-chief, what president and vice president would take steps that don't secure a border? Why?
He was the first president in history of the nation who came in and unsecured a border on purpose, not because of mismanagement, not because of incompetence, by design. They want this open border. They obviously think these millions of people will be future Democratic voters, but also he overturned the Trump census rule, with millions of people in sanctuary cities recounted in the next census. And what does that mean? More seats in House for the Dems. But I tell you what, the Trump team coming to town, we're going to take control January 20th, and people are going to be held accountable. We're going to be very transparent. We're going to get behind. What did the United Nations have to do with this open border crisis? Who in the administration, the Biden administration, opened the doors on this humanitarian crisis? What NGOs were involved in this? We're going to be very transparent to American people, and we're going to tell them the truth, what happened on this border. Again, by design, and we're going to let the American people know who was involved, why, and hold them accountable.
Tom Homan, thank you so much for joining us, the incoming border czar for President-elect Trump. Thank you.